So if you're in your teens or your 20s and you're looking at starting a business or you have started a business, then this video is going to be quite useful to you. And I figured I'll just make this video today because it was on my mind and I thought, right, it's perfect time. So I've literally listed 5 things here. I'm not going to be reading from a script or anything. It is just 5 ideas that I've just put on a piece of paper, and I'm just going to like sort of branch out some ideas on each one of the points. So I'm going to start with number 5 and then just go down. So without any of the other stuff, let's get straight to it. So first of all is to-do lists at number 5. So if you watch my other videos, then I've spoken a lot about to-do lists. If you haven't already watched them, then I'd recommend you just go back maybe after this video and just go and have a look. But basically, to-do lists have been a major play and just a major part of sort of running the whole kind of business, and sort of just like, putting a routine in place and setting out the day. It's so important because, maybe when you're first starting, it's not going to be too crazy. You might think, oh, I haven't really got that many things, to have to remember. But trust me, once you've sort of like got into it a little bit more, you've done your research and you actually started doing the business, whatever business model it is. Personally, I've got organic dropshipping, quite a few tasks for me to do a day just to keep me busy. But, whatever business you do, in either way, you're going to have quite a few tasks to do, I'm guessing. So, having a to-do list is really good because you can look over every single task, and also you get that dopamine hit of every time you can tick off the task once you've done it. Kind of just helps with your discipline as well, because if you can stick to a to-do list, you can write down things on a piece of paper, then actually achieve them. It's just going to build that mindset. So, get a to-do list done. Just write it. I'll write mine the night before. You could do it either the morning or the night before, but I just like to do mine the night before so I can just get straight up and get straight down and just see all the tasks I need to do that day. A lot of the days consist of similar tasks, but I still make sure to write a new to-do list every day, just to ensure that my mind is clear and the to-do list is clear as well to be able to do. So that is the number 5 spot. That's very important. So definitely implement that if you haven't already. Now, number 4 is you're going to have to understand, especially when you're sort of younger as well, because, if you're going to be wanting to like go out with friends and whatever and just like spend time kind of doing what you do at a younger age, you got to understand that you're going to have to dedicate yourself, which can mean sacrificing some things. So in my case, I can't really relate too much to it because all of my friends aren't really like outgoing kind of people, like they're not like trying to drag me to parties or anything like that. They don't go to parties, they don't do anything like that. So, in a way that's kind of fortunate because I'm not having to like, have to turn people down all the time and stuff. But what I'm saying is that if your friends are maybe like, outgoers, they want to go to parties, they want to do this and that, you don't want to be going to that every single time because you are going to have to dedicate yourself, especially in certain times, maybe when you're just starting up. Maybe if you're doing like organic dropshipping, the same, you're going to have to learn skills to get started, and most businesses you're going to have to learn skills to get started. And the more and more you kind of delay that, the more and more you do other things than learning for it. It's just like delaying the time that you're going to be able to succeed with the business. So you've got to actually understand what's more important to you. Is it succeeding or is it having like some limited time fun? You've got to understand, you got to generally break it down in your mind. What do you actually want from your life? And you got to understand as well the things that you're doing, just sort of analyze and review what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and then kind of review, how is this going to affect me in 5 years time, or not even 5 years, just like how is this going to affect my future? And you want that to be positive ideally, and usually going to parties and stuff is not going to be a positive thing. And I use parties as an example because that's just what, like, it's kind of the big thing within like the online business space, if you want to say that. That's just kind of one of the things that people relate to, so I'll just say it as that, but it could literally be just anything. You just want to make sure you're spending your time wisely on the right tasks, and just kind of understand what's important and what, like, at certain times especially, you're gonna have to dedicate yourself, else your competition's just gonna get ahead. Because one thing I've always been told, and one thing I've kind of always lived by as well, is that it's fine to take a day off, but someone else is working and someone else is gonna outcompete you because they're not taking the same day off. So we have free will as humans to do what we want, but if you want to actually use your free will in a way that's going to benefit you for your future, then you just need to understand that what you're doing and how it's going to affect you is very important. So you just need to know, you're going to have to dedicate yourself at times, maybe if you just go once in a while, go, you know, because I'm 17 personally, and I would spend a lot of time with family and stuff like that. I don't, like I say, my friends aren't really, obviously I'll go to the gym and stuff with my friends, but that's part of like the kind of the routine, if you want. That's part of like the to-do list and whatever. But you know, I'll still go out with family and everything, but it's not like I'm always trying to go out and do something fun. You know, I spend the time, I take the time, and understand that it's going to take you know, a lot of time, especially in the back end, to get everything done. So yeah, that's kind of number 4. Number 3 is going to be, I mentioned it in number 1 actually with the to-do list, but building your mindset and make sure it's in the right place. Because I don't know if you've heard it before or not, but business is basically 90% mindset, right? Because if you can't really go to a destination if you don't believe you can get to that destination, and you don't want to get to that destination with all of your heart. If you're not passionate about getting somewhere, if you're not passionate about achieving something, it's going to be so much harder to get there, because you're going to be dragging yourself through every single day. I mean, I always think, like, what's the real reason people would hate their job? And the real reason people hate their job is because it's boring, it doesn't entertain them, it just brings them money. If you put yourself in a position where you're running a business that's the same as that, unless it's like crazy amounts of money, but in order to get to that, you're going to have some kind of passion, and you're going to have some kind of drive and sort of end goal in mind to be able to work every day, because it's not easy. It's not like you can live off motivation. It's not you can work off motivation every single day. You're going to have discipline. To get discipline, it's going to take building your mindset. Personally, I did this with reading books. I'm not saying you have to read books to do it, but that's personally how I got started. You know, I started going to the gym as well. Obviously, I started working out, and then that kind of helped me. I got into books, got into the whole business space, and the books thing was really, really good, because I'd literally read for like 3 hours every single morning and stick to that. And as well as reading books as well, you just want to make sure that like everything you consume, because you don't want to be consuming too much, you want to be producing more, and I'll sort of get onto that as well. But what I mean by like consuming, producing, I mean rather than consuming content, you want to be producing content. So obviously organic is what I do. A lot of business models now, especially moving into the future, require some kind of like video creation, or some kind of like, you know, producing something, whether you're producing a service, you're producing a product, producing videos, producing ads, whatever you're doing, right? There's a lot of producing involved. So you want to make sure that anything that you do consume is teaching about the business, or like strengthening your mindset. So, you know, maybe you're doing some like deep work or something, deep focus, you just have like a podcast on, or, you know, something like that. You might be in the gym listening to a podcast, anything like that, right? Just make sure your mindset gets in the right place, because that's a big thing. Another thing linked to mindset, which I've spoken about again in my past videos, quite a big thing, is delayed gratification. It's one of the biggest things ever, and it kind of links to the first point that I'm going to be talking about. The first one's like, obviously probably one of the most important ones, especially when it comes to mindset and stuff like that. But delayed gratification is a massive thing, because, you know, if you don't know what delayed gratification is, by the way, it's basically like doing something now which it's not gonna feel great now. It's not gonna like reward you straight away, but in the future it's gonna reward you. So like, for example, working on your business right now, that might not literally reward you in that moment. If I go and make a video, post a video now, I might not get rewarded straight away, but I know that making that video has then taught me more skills, it's gave me more experience, and then eventually that's going to like lead to more rewards in the future, right? It's going to lead to more gratification in the future. Delayed gratification is a massive, massive thing that you need to learn and get used to. For me personally, when I first started, if you've seen like I did make a video on this actually about my clothing brand. Had a clothing brand for a year and didn't get any sales, made no money. There was just outgoings. And that was when I was like 14, 15. So I didn't really know what I was doing anyway. I just like jumped straight into the deep end. And there's that like built my delayed gratification in a way. I'm glad and so grateful that happened, because it put me to where I am now, because I got used to working, putting in so much work, getting nothing back from it. And I just accepted it, you know. But obviously, at the time, I felt, you know, it was kind of annoying, because you don't want to be working so much and getting nothing for it. But now it's, you know, it's grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. So yeah, that's kind of that, and that builds on it. Delayed gratification is a massive thing. So that is the fourth point. No, sorry, that is the third point. Second point is, rather than having, like, obviously you want to set your massive, like one big goal, right? So that could literally be anything. It could be like, you know, retiring your parents, or reaching a certain amount of income, reaching a certain amount of like liquid cash, or, getting your dream car. There's so many different goals you could have. I can't really tell you specifically what, you know, dream you'd have, because that's up to you. But what I'm trying to say is, rather than just having one massive goal, break your goal down into steps, or break it down into, like, you know, whatever you want to say. But break your goal down into steps. So, for example, I want to make like 7 figures, or, you know, just onwards. I want to be able to, like, get my dream car, stuff like that. But rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to work and achieve this, I'm going to set goals along the way. So, for example, the start of this year, I've said that this year I want to make 6 figures, right? Rather than just saying, I want to make 6 figures, I've broken it down into many different things, many different goals, some of which I've already hit as well. So, for example, one of the goals was to have 3 new primed Instagram accounts, or 3 Instagram accounts with more than 10,000 followers, which I actually managed to hit within, like, the first 3 months of this year, which was a great thing to do. And that's good, because then I'm not, like, because if you have one main goal, right, and, you know, you set that massive goal and you're kind of working towards it every single day, having those little goals to help you get there is not only going to just make the path more clear, you know, it's not only going to allow you to see the goal more clear, but it's also going to allow you to, like, assure yourself that you are achieving something. Because if you go a whole year and maybe don't hit that, like, unfortunately don't hit that big goal, then you might go through that whole year and think, what have I actually achieved this year? But if you have all those goals listed down that you've achieved, and maybe you didn't get the big one, but at least you got all the different ones, you're still going into next year with more experience and more kind of, you know, rewards and goals hit from last year. So that's still good. But yeah, that's kind of something there. So let's say, for example, your goal is to get your dream car. Let's say your dream car is, like, I don't know, $100,000, $200,000, pounds, whatever. Let's say that's that. Rather than just setting, like, putting on your goal board or whatever, the dream car, then break it down. You know, what do you want to do? So, first of all, how long is it going to take me to get the car with an income? You know, say you want to get to, like, 10k a month or something. First of all, break it down. You know, I want to start making this amount a month. You know, I want to start making 1,000 a month from my online business. Get to that goal. Okay, great. I'll start making this. Right. Now I want to go to, you know, maybe double it. So 2,000, then 4,000, 8,000, and, you know, you can just keep going on like that. Obviously, it's a lot easier said than done, but concept applies, right? Just, you know, break it down into steps, make the path a lot more clear for yourself to see, and yeah, just make things like sort of more streamlined for yourself, so you can just see the future. Right, now on to the number 1. This is one very important one, and I've kind of already touched on this with the clothing brand example, but focus on inputs rather than outputs, especially at the start. Now, what I mean by this is your inputs, which is going to be you working on the business, you know, doing the tasks it takes. So let's say your inputs are going to be what's on your to-do list, right? So, you know, you got your to-do list written down. Each task that you do is an input. Now, you want to focus more on that, because especially at the start as well, that's going to build you so much more skills than it is to get the outputs right. Like, maybe you, like, for example, for me, when I first started organic, which was like a year and a half ago or something like that, maybe just under 2 years. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to check back on it. But when I first started, I was fortunate enough for my first product to actually get some sales. It made a few £100s. It wasn't anything too crazy, but it was a good start, right? And I was lucky to get that, right? I was lucky to get those outputs. But prior to that, I'd put just inputs into the clothing brand, and then I'd just put just inputs into that first product, and then finally some outputs came. But you see, the difference is because I'd focus just solely on the inputs. And I feel like, you know, if you're sort of younger in your teen years before anything, because I was like 14, 15 when I was doing that, you don't really have that concept of money or income at the time. So it's so much easier to just focus on inputs, because you don't even expect to make money from it at the start, because, you know, you've never really seen money. But now that I've seen like some outputs, I've seen some money coming in, it is like a little bit harder to do, but I still stick to it. I still same applies, because it's so much, you know, it's so important to focus on those inputs, because you're going to build your skill levels, you're going to build your discipline, you're going to build the delayed gratification. And then obviously the outputs are going to come with it, right? Like, eventually you're going to get rewards if you just stick with it. Like, it's the same as at the gym, right? If you go like I don't know, maybe a week or something, you're not going to see crazy progress, right? You've just put inputs in, you've got like no outputs, maybe very, very, very little outputs, just from putting loads of inputs in. Go for a month, still not an insane amount of progress, really, like, you know, for the, you know, like an average journey in the gym, but you've just put inputs. And then eventually over time, you'll notice growth, you know, maybe your arms start growing, your chest starts growing, stuff like that. That is when you start getting the outputs and the rewards for those inputs. That's delayed gratification, right? The gym's a very good example of that, because when you go in there first, you're not getting instant gratification from doing some bicep curls. You know, your biceps aren't going to just grow like from that. I mean, you'll get a little pump, but, you know, same applies. So it's the same with business, right? Don't expect to get money straight away. Don't expect, you know, your first product to be an absolute winner and to achieve 20k months. Don't even expect that, you know, the 20k months within a certain amount of time period. Don't put that on yourself, because then if you don't like get to that point, you're going to think, oh, this doesn't work. Look, everything comes in your own time, right? So you just need to, you know, focus on the inputs rather than the outputs. That's also linking to try not to compare yourself to others as well, because comparison is the thief of joy. I can't really say much on that, because I do myself compare myself to others, and it's not good at all. So, you know, if you can get yourself out of that before it starts, then definitely do. Don't compare yourself to others. But yeah, focus on inputs rather than outputs, because it's really important to build skills and to build that kind of mindset kind of thing. So that was all 5 points I want to talk about. Really banger video there. I hope you took some value from that, because I've kind of just spoke to the camera, just put a few points down, branched out on it. This is what I like to do, you know, in my YouTube videos now. I kind of just, idea comes to mind, I'm like, yeah, that's good, let's do it. And I kind of just let my mind do its thing. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you want to watch more content like this and just like follow the journey as well, because I'll do update videos and everything like that, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to end this video here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.